Greetings, Saber fans. Hello, Daniel M. Good to see you. So I know we're still waiting on getting some people here, but this is a prototyping project that if y'all are wanting to practice soldering, this is a good way to do it. And I'm going to try and give you all different angles on it here, so you can kind of see what I did. And I used a bunch of different methods on here to, demonstrate a couple of different things. But hey, Max, good to see you down under. But this is the prototyping board. Max has been requesting this for a while. So a couple weeks ago on the live stream, we were talking about these RGB LEDs. And this is an RGB LED. And I've used 3 switches here so we can illuminate the LED. And, this is to plug into the battery. You haven't missed anything, Max. We just started. Enoch route is on. Awesome. So basically, what you need to build this prototyping board is a common anode RGB LED. That's this. That's the one we talked about in the live stream a few weeks ago. Right, Max? Common anode, not common cathode. Because if you're going to be wearing a Profi, you need a common anode RGB LED to drive the crystal chamber. You're going to need 3 tactile switches. 1, 2, 3. And on the red LED, you need an 80 ohm resistor, and on the green and blue, you need 27 ohm resistors. So remember, the longest leg of the common anode RGB LED is positive, and if you look on here, I have the longest leg up here. Now, how these prototyping boards work is you'll have a common positive all the way through at this top rung, and then the very top rung is common negative. And I'll show you the back side of the board in a minute how that works. And then on the bottom, we have common positive and common negative all the way across the bottom. Now, these strips are all vertical. They have continuity vertically. So this is a good way to teach y'all how to use these boards. This is an Adafruit Perma prototyping board from Adafruit. These are fairly inexpensive. And, these RGB LEDs are fairly inexpensive. I think you order 20 of these for like $5. So they're relatively inexpensive, and you can get a pack of resistors off Amazon for $5 or $8, and it'll have your 82 ohm and 27 ohm resistors here. And you can also order these tactile switches. Now, on the back of the board, where you can see my soldering, you can see some of my soldering, but you can see these positive and negative strips are continuous going horizontally at both the bottom and the top. And I'll explain this jumper wire in a minute. That's part of the practice of building this the way I did it. But these in the middle, they have continuity going down. So the holes are continuous going down. You can see they're vertically connected. So basically what I did is I connected the positive leg from my RGB common anode LED to my positive strip across the top. This is positive. That row that LED leg is in is positive. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. See that positive red line? And I did not hook my batteries on that top line. So what I did is I added a jumper from that top positive where the LED is hooked to the bottom positive, because then I ran my power lines over here on this side. Could I run my power line up here? Sure, but trying to throw in some extra practice for y'all. So you can solder in your jumper line here and solder it down to your bottom, so that brings your positive up to your LED. Now the negative leg, the first negative leg, you can see I used a jumper wire here. Of course, I could have put the resistor in there, but I put a jumper wire in there just to demonstrate that it doesn't matter which side of this switch the resistor is on. It doesn't matter as long as you're resisting the flow. But this jumper wire goes from the red leg on the LED, which the red leg is the single solitary one right next to your positive leg. And I got the positive leg bent out. But this jumper wire goes into this corner of this switch. So you know the switch has continuity down through this line. So you know we need to hook our other leg up to this line. So what I did is I put our 82 ohm resistor to the negative leg of the switch diagonal there to our negative on the board, which is going to have negative power. Then on my green leg, which is your next one over, so these two over here, the one which right behind my fingernail is green, and then the next one is blue. So what I did is I soldered in my resistor to this corner of this switch over to, you know, this hole right underneath the green diode. And then I, of course, have jumpers here, which I don't know if y'all can see that. This is another way to practice soldering. This is a good way to practice surface mount soldering jumpers. So this jumper goes from that switch pole to the negative line, and from the negative line to this switch pole. And then on the opposite side of the switch, I have the other resistor going to the last leg, which is our blue leg. Now, if you've done this correctly, this little project, when you hook up a battery to it, so I'm hooking up my test battery to it. This is a good way to play around with these LEDs to know you got them right. So you can see I got my test battery hooked on. This should be red, this should be green, and this should be blue. And not only that, when you press red and blue, you get purple. Of course, it's going to blow out the camera, but it's purple when you get red and blue pressed. Purple. Then when you press red and green, you get a yellow. See, that's kind of like a yellow light. Look at my double chin. It's a yellow light. And then if you have, we've already done purple, so now I'm going to do blue and green, and you get that aquamarine or the, you know, the A New Hope cyan color of blue with green mixed into it. And if you press all three buttons at the same time, you get white. You get white. Cyan. That's right. Green and blue make cyan, so that's cyan. There's just blue, cyan, purple, red, green, blue. So basically, this is a cool little project to get your head wrapped around how this LED works and how these resistors need to work. The resistor needs to be on the negative legs on the common anode LEDs. That way you're putting in resistance. Hey, Juan Carlos. That way you're giving your LED the resistance it needs so you're not overdriving it and burning it out like we did in that video. But the bottom line is this is a cool little project for y'all to prototype out and practice soldering. Now, the way I did this, there's a lot of soldering practice. So on the negative and positive supply lines here, I've actually through-holed soldered the positive line through the hole, but then I surface mount soldered the negative line. So you can do that to get some practice. I did, these jumpers are both surface mount solders, and that's working with small stuff. You tin the holes you're wanting to solder to, and then put your, you know, jumper in there, and that's pretty simple. I did a wire bridge here, which is soldered through hole. These resistors are soldered through hole. All three buttons are soldered through hole, and all four legs on the RGB common anode LED are soldered through the holes. So it's just a simple little project, kind of teach you how to use these RGB common anode LEDs, which you can use for Profi. The cool part about this is you can kind of learn how Profi makes this LED look like a NeoPixel. And how it does it is, if you imagine these buttons are the FETs that you've hooked your legs of your LED up to, these buttons, just like the FETs, are firing whatever color it needs for however long it needs to fire it. That's how you get the NeoPixel-like effects in a common anode RGB LED. And remember, everybody, hey, Chet Osborne, Dark Guide, hey, good to see you all. But if you want to use a normal RGB LED to light your crystal chamber, this is a good little project to kind of help you understand what's going on. And if you're trying to learn how to solder, This is a cool little project to learn how to solder with, and it's really inexpensive. I bet you could do this whole project for less than 10 bucks. And all you need is a test battery to wire it up. And for my test battery, this is a 26650 sled. I know a lot of people have asked about it. I bought a bunch of 18650 sleds, but it's a 26650 sled, and I'm using an 18650 Trustfire battery in it, and that's my test battery. It works just fine. It's just a little loose in there, and it pushes in too deep because this is designed for a 26650. But that's my test battery with test leads and alligator clips on it that I use when I'm building lightsabers. But I thought that would be a cool project to show you guys. It'd be fun, to dig into if you're trying to learn how to solder. So figured I'd throw that out there. What else? Did everybody see Jeff Birch's review on the KR Krossguard? Hey, Willie AP. Hey, Willie AP, how's that Krossguard holding up? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. The internet kind of went screwy there for a second. Hey, Willie AP, how's that Krossguard working? That 263 is on. Willie AP, he's the one that bought my Krossguard, the Korbanth Krossguard that I installed. And I think he got it back, so I'm really hoping that it's running good for him. It's, really cool saber. So, Profi, yeah, no. I know, man. I was like, oh no, what's going on? Because, I was frozen on my screen, but I could see you guys still chatting. So I'm glad to see it recovered. I'm not at my house. Yeah, the work on Profi OS 4.5 is awesome. FET 263 and Frederick, I think, have really knocked it out of the park. I think it's going to take us months to digest everything that's possible on the new OS. So it's pretty exciting to see all that drop. Now I got to start working in it. And the 3 Sabers I just installed, I think I need to go ahead and convert them over to 4.5 and maybe add on some of the alternate blade styles with the lightning lockup that are out there from FET 263. But what I was saying before my internet crashed there is trying to see how many people watched TexX Sabers review of the Krossguard by KROR, and I thought it was a really good review. I thought he was dead on. In fact, if I was going to do a review of that lightsaber, I would just forward you to Jeff's link because it's pretty much what I feel about it. Yeah, but it was really good work. Really good work. I got a lot done today. Yeah, it's going to be hard catching up with all that, Fernando. Y'all have done so much work. Yeah, I loved his review of the Krossguard too, Daniel. I thought it was pretty much spot on. It was good stuff. Good stuff by Hexec this week. But I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on one and installing it. Oh yeah, Darth Guide, DV6 V2 and an MPP 2.5. I'd be into that. And the cool thing about waiting for those anyway is it gives Cedric over at Gaw 3D Designs, it gives him a little bit more time to get his hands on those hilts and get the chassis updated for those, because his chassis for the DV6 V1 and MPP were pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to him getting the V2s and getting those chassis, because the one thing about those 3 Sabers, the DV6, the MPP, and the Graflex, is they're not going anywhere. So he's going to make chassis for them. Yeah, FET's library will give everybody a good jump start. And once this video publishes, I'll try to make sure that I put FET's library on here for those of y'all that don't have it. Top 10 Sabers of all time, in your opinion. That's going to be awesome. I'll have to tune in for that one because I got to get paybacks on you for something. Yeah, it was a good review, Jeff. I um I saw that Proplicator put out an install video today on a Phoenix Props V2 Kylo Ren saber with Proppy with the new OS, and I'm kind of wondering. Probably need to call him and ask him, what do you think? Because Proplicator is doing a lot of the KROR Krossguards, and I'd be curious to see what Tom thinks about the KROR Krossguard compared to the Phoenix Props V2, because the Phoenix Props V2 was pretty much the standard for Krossguards, at least in the 501st Legion it was, and I think the KROR Krossguard is tops in my book now, better than the Phoenix Props V2. I think it's going to devalue the PPV2s because, to be honest with y'all, I thought they were a little bit overpriced once they got rare. Um, I'd like to see Phoenix Props do another one of those. Looks like my internet's getting jumpy, so if it drops out, it drops out. And I'm over at Jen's house anyway, so don't want to be on the computer all night tonight. But I got a lot of work done today. Yeah, it'll be cool because he just did a PPV2 install, and it'd be cool to hear his opinion about the difference between the PPV2 and the KROR Krossguard. Pretty sure the KROR one is going to be the industry standard for Krossguards. I still don't think Cal realizes what he did here. Um, Basically, he made the saber that everybody's wanted for a long time. And when I say everybody, I know there's a lot of fans out there that don't like the sequels. Uh, you know, The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. But the fact of the matter is that Krossguard saber, and there's a lot of new fans that came on for those movies. And that Krossguard lightsaber was pretty much the coolest thing I've seen since Darth Maul's double-ended saber, his staff. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. I'm looking forward to see how he goes on the Krossguard. Yeah, I'm sure Corbanth will do a V3 of the Krossguard. They better take a good look at Cal's, because whatever Cal did, they're gonna want to emulate that saber, in my opinion. I think the stainless steel Quillions are the bomb, and I know a bunch of you guys are wanting to paint those things, and I realized they were painted on the prop, but they were painted to imitate the bluing you get when steel is heated. So why imitate it when you can have it? So I'm going to heat mine. I'm going to put heat stain on mine just like I did my Phoenix Prop Star Killer. That heat stain on those Phoenix Prop Star Killer was incredible. It was beautiful. Hey, Cole. Cole Weathers is on. Cole just checked in. Yeah, I'm going to heat mine. That's going to be happening. Uh, I think Jeff heated his, and I think they turned out well. And I don't know anybody who paint those things. Stainless steel. Heat it. Heat it. Look just like as good as the Phoenix Prop Star Killer. I've got my problems with that hilt as far as its installability. I mean, I love the hilt, but I'll go put the little one to bed, Rich. It'll be published on tonight. Now, here lately, all my YouTube live videos have been getting flagged as um, troublesome, and then I have to appeal it. So it usually takes about 24 hours for them to get on the regular link. But if you go to my Facebook page, and hit the link on my Facebook page, you should be able to get back and find this thing. But it's buried like unlisted on YouTube until it gets out of the appeals process. Every Monday night it's been doing that. I don't understand it. Fernando, I can't believe you're letting somebody else mess with your saber. I figured you would be wanting to do that yourself, but finishing is not my cup of tea either. But I've got some TFA ideas on my saber. The TFA saber was a lot more nasty and grimy, so I don't think you can mess up a TFA saber. Yeah, yeah, Rich. Fernando said, "I don't mess with fire." Says the man who's made all kind of fire blades. I don't mess with fire. Just to my blades. All the cis speech must be getting flagged. Yeah, rebel scum. The YouTube police are probably all rebels. They're probably all traitors. Thank you, Darth Guide. I appreciate it. I have a lot of fun doing this. I really wish I could do more Sabers. I know a lot of people are, fans and like my work and want to get hold of it and want to commission me, but in the last year, I've just been in a tight spot trying to get my house done so I can sell it. Um, that looks like it's coming to fruition, but of course, my life's going to be crazy at least for another 4 or 5 months because moving out of my house, selling my house, buying a new house, getting settled in the new house. There'll be all kind of projects on the new house, but once I get settled in that new house, I have a great, great workbench. Oh, that's okay, Willie AP. I'm just glad you got the saber back. And by the way, everybody, Willie AP down here, he's the one that bought the my Corbin Krossguard. So I'm so glad you like it. The only thing, Willie, I wasn't real happy about was the way I had to secure that hatch. But I'm telling you, if you would have felt that hatch with just the magnets holding it on, it just doesn't work. Everybody that has those Corbans, that hatch is what everybody's big complaint is, that hatch, and people have added more magnets, and it just doesn't matter. The more magnets you add, it still just doesn't hold on. It's just a bad design. It was a great hilt. The hatch was a bad design, but I'm glad you like it, Willie AP. A lot of work and effort and thought went into that saber, and a lot of fine tuning. So I'm really glad you like it. I did not post it, Ron. So if you missed earlier in the stream, my day job this week has been really bad. So we've had 4 major crises in 2 weeks, and usually that's on pace for like 3 months. So we've had 3 months worth of work in the last 2 weeks, and Thursday I actually worked almost 30 hours straight. So Thursday was a really tough day. So I did not get a chance to finish the blade and do the videos because my day job. Yeah, Daniel M. The hatch is cool when it's not in your hand. It also makes it convenient for changing batteries. It's just if they could have engineered some latching system to hold it in instead of relying on magnets, I think it would have been better. Like, if they this isn't a real Krossguard. This is my Transcendence. I was trying to see, but like maybe if the little nubs that are down at the bottom of the saber, if like they would have turned a latch in the hilt to hold it on, maybe that would have been better. That would have been better. Um, hey, True 1777. No good. Had a COVID scare, was off work, so totally understand. Yeah, haven't put out those videos yet. Hopefully later this week. In fact, I took off work tomorrow because of all the trouble. Yeah, you're welcome, Willie AP. I love that saber. It's a cool saber. Uh, you know, those bolts that I put in to hold the hatch in, you know, you don't see them when it's in your hand, but the bottom line is that was just a better way to hold that hatch on. Hey, Jay Sparrow, everything's going swimmingly. Hey, did everyone get a chance to see that prototyping project? If you haven't, at the very beginning of the video, I talked about how to do this prototyping project with an RGB common anode LED, which works just the way it's going to work on Profi. And I actually had a list of everything you need to buy to do it. And basically, just using this to demonstrate how Profi fires these RGB LEDs, red, green, blue, in any combination. And you can make this prototype board pretty quick and easy, and it explains to you how to use this to light up your crystal chamber in a Profi and how Profi works. So yeah, if you missed it, go back and watch the beginning of the video, and I showed you how to build this prototype RGB LED. It's a project you can do with your kids. It's something you can practice with soldering to help you with your soldering skills. Just cool stuff. Very easy project, very cheap to do, and it's just cool. You know, when you wire something up and it works, it's always cool. Whether that be a lightsaber or a prototyping project, it's always a lot of fun. Daniel M, I am the man, the 5-0. I'm actually in charge of our detectives division, and you know, we have 4 major emergencies. What I'm talking about is we've had major cases going on in the last 2 weeks, a lot more than we can really handle. It's been pretty crazy. So work's been off the hook. Well, Max, so I'm glad you asked that. So when you get these RGB LEDs, I'm going to put it up there to the screen. You see that positive leg that I bent out there, reaching forward? Number one, the positive leg is the longest leg on the LED. The one next to the positive leg, all by itself, is red. And then the other 2 are green and blue toward the outside on the other side. Yeah. Yeah, I'm keeping my fun time, Ron Davis. Yeah, so the positive on a common anode RGB LED, the positive is the longest leg, Max, so you don't even have to test it. The longest leg is your positive. The lone leg outside of the long leg is your red, and then the leg next to your longest leg is green, and then the outside leg is blue. But don't test them without a resistor. If you test them without a resistor, you're going to overdrive it and blow it. Oh yeah, Daniel M. I'm almost retired. I've got 4 more years, and then I can, you know, go on to maybe building lightsabers full time. I don't know. Oh, on the switch, yeah, there's no negative on the switch. Yeah, I need a pointer. So on a tactile switch, if you wired this leg and this leg, it's not going to work because there's continuity the way these work. You have to wire this leg and this leg, or this leg and this leg across your circuit. So that's one thing about this project that it'll teach you how to do is how to wire these tactiles with 4 legs. So you can see here, this is my negative feed into the switch. This is my negative feed out of the switch. So when the switch is activated, then this red jumper wire is activated, which goes to my red LED leg. And then I'll zoom in here and see if you can get closer. So I've got jumpers here feeding this leg negative, but then you see the opposite leg goes to my resistor and to my green LED. And then I've got a jumper here feeding this leg of the switch, but then I have this leg wired to the resistor, which feeds the blue LED. So that's how that works. Yeah, there is no positive and negative on a switch per se. A switch just completes a circuit. And there is, I did put a switch video out there that shows you how these switches work, and including a diagram that shows you how to wire these 4-leg tactile switches. So if y'all haven't seen that, go to my YouTube channel in the tutorial section, and I definitely have a video about switches. If you turn it clockwise, they won't have continuity. Yeah, but if you, here's the problem with that, Max. On the back of these prototyping boards, the traces go vertically. So if you turn your switches like that, then they're not going to work. So you have to keep your switch legs with continuity on those same vertical posts on a prototyping board. See how they have continuity vertically? So you can't do what you said unless you grind down these, which it's easier just to wire it the way I showed you. So that's why, because the board has, this is a cool way to learn about electricity, because you can see the traces here. You're going to have continuity vertically here on these. So you have to orient your switch, just like I showed you here, so that the legs that have continuity are soldered to a line that has continuity. And the legs that don't have continuity between each other are where you wire your switches, opposite corners. Or you could have wired your resistor down here to run down to the negative pole, but I just put it here because it's closer. So at any rate, that's a cool little 5-minute project. I think I built this in, I don't know, 5 minutes. It didn't take me that long. But when you push the buttons, if it doesn't light up, then you messed something up. Go back and watch the video again until you get it right. Well, the switch does matter on orientation, Max, because on a tactile switch, which I don't have one here to show you, but on the back side there's vertical lines that show you which two legs have continuity between them. And you may have to look at it under a magnifying glass, but you can certainly tell. If you wired two legs that already have continuity, then nothing's going to happen when you depress your switch because you already have continuity. You want to wire opposite legs, opposing legs, so that you only have continuity when you depress the switch. And the continuity is going to be between it's going to complete your circuit. It's going to complete your circuit. So here you can see I'm going to this leg, and then I'm going to the opposite leg to complete my circuit to my red. And here I'm going from this negative leg to the opposite corner over here to complete my circuit to green, this negative leg to this negative leg to complete my circuit to blue. And you can see that I have soldered my resistor in below the blue leg and my resistor here in below the green leg. And here, this jumper wire, I'm going to try to move it out of the way, is to the hole right below my red leg. But if you look on the back, so these are where the LEDs, this is where the LEDs are soldered, but you can see because these lines are vertical, they have continuity to the holes right beneath each leg. So it just helps you, it completes some of the circuitry without wiring. Well, I'm glad you made it, Darth God. We try to do these things every Monday and try to throw some tips and tricks out there. And this week I kind of wanted to do a soldering project that people could do at home, because I know there's a lot of new Saber builders out there and they're wanting to learn about electricity and wanting to learn about soldering. And this is a cool little project that you can put together at home pretty cheaply. And there's a lot of soldering practice. There's actually 32 points of solder on this project. If you do it the way I built it, there's 32 points of solder. And, compared to a Micom rig that has, I don't know, I think it's 86 solder points on a Micom rig, on each Micom rig. Unfortunately, I can't show you all a Micom rig project because some of the circuitry that I invented on that board is proprietary. So I'm not going to air out how I do the Micom button boards. I mean, it's easy if you understand electricity, but yeah, opening a cantina somewhere. No, I think I'd just rather solder lightsabers and be with Jen and Ella when I retire. I don't think I want to buy a bar. You want to buy a bar, Jen? No, she's not into that. We just need to go dancing at White Lake on Friday nights, and that's pretty much it. Of course, there won't be any dancing at White Lake on Friday nights this year, apparently, because of the microbiology crap that's going on. But I know this video may not be as long as normal because I'm not at home, and I know Ella is probably struggling right now because she's usually talk, and they're being extra quiet because I'm on camera, and I feel like I'm intruding in their home right now. But doing my first build with a swappable battery soon. Anything I should watch out for while getting the battery in there? I'm trying to think if I've done any videos on how I do swappable batteries. I always put ribbon in my battery sleds. Are you using a spring battery setup, or are you using an actual battery sled like an 18650 sled like this with the contacts inside of it? What I would do if I were you is without a swappable. Oh, unswappable. Oh, sorry, Enoch Root. I misread that. That's what happens when I'm trying to read too fast. Well, I think the most important thing, Enoch Root, is when you wire your wires to your battery, however you're going to do that, I don't suggest um, soldering to your battery. If especially not for a beginner. I would say uh, you'd be better off going to the custom saber shop and buying pre-wired batteries and cutting the plugs off. Don't cut both wires at the same time, because then you create a circuit in your pliers and you're going to arc weld a hole in your pliers. So don't do that. So just cut the red wire and then the black wire separately, number one. And then when you solder your other wires on there to extend into your saber where you're going to supply power, once you get those soldered on, use a multimeter to check to make sure that you got good voltage on those wires. And that one's not that bad. I'll let that one through, Ken. It was one to censor that for whatever reason. I have soldered to batteries, but for somebody that's beginning, I would not suggest that. Now, I know that on open source, there's a lot of guys saying just solder onto your battery. That's dangerous on multiple levels. The first time I ever soldered on a lithium ion battery, I overheated it. And yep, good night, everyone. And that's a good way to cause an explosion. As a matter of fact, I did cause an explosion. And I don't like that. I don't do that no more. I buy pre-wired batteries from the custom saber shop. You can solder wires on them, but you really have to be careful, and you really have to know what you're doing. And because that's sort of an advanced skill, and those wires technically really should be spot welded on, not soldered on. Uh, Anyone know a chassis would fit an OWK1? I do not. A Profi for an OWK1? I don't know. I can tell you this, Bavacan. If you can find a chassis that works for OWK1 that has a slot for a Nano Biscotti in it, you could probably make that work for a Profi, because Profi and Nano Biscotti are fairly similar in their profile, and I've had to often modify those chassis to fit. I mean, I fit Teensy Saber in a prism slot. I did not use a recharge port in my brass flagship. It's just got a swappable battery. And sorry, work's killing me right now because one of our cases is apparently blowing up. Okay. Yeah, the OWK1 from Corbanth. I am not sure. I would check Gaw 3D Designs and see if he's got anything there. And remember, like I said, if you can find a chassis that worked for Nano Biscotti, I think you could be able to modify it to work with Profi. I mean, I've modified chassis to work with all kinds of soundboards they weren't supposed to work for, and they work just fine. You know, my favorite build of all time was my Graflex with the metal chassis, and I put Teensy Saber in there, and that chassis was not made for Teensy Sabers. Not in any way whatsoever. Yeah, 13 Lake anytime. Anytime. Yeah, you know, Robert Sotomayor can probably make a chassis for it. You just probably need to get him dimensions. Oh, Kyberphonics on. Jesse Kirkbride's on. Everybody haven't heard Kyberphonic sound fonts. You need to. Jesse Kirkbride and also, you know, K Sith fired out 2 more new fonts, and K Sith's new one that he kicked out was sick. Sick. Killing children on there. Anakin's thing. It was bad. He's got sounds like where, you know, children are crying out in pain as they're getting slashed to pieces. That was horrible. I was like, oh, K Sith, that's pretty sick. I love it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pete Sandoval is. I'm sorry, Ella's looking. Ella's giving me a strange look. Well, it's Darth Vader. She likes Princess Leia. Uh, well, Darth God, you won't be let down when you get those back because Pete Sandoval does some incredible work. You know, I mean, if y'all haven't seen my cover photo, internet's starting to get screwy again here. Yeah, Chirophonic and K-Sith are my guys because they make so many Sith sound fonts. Max, I can't talk about that right now. That's something's probably already happened there. We can't talk about that. Now she's really looking at me, screwy. Yeah, secrets. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great font designers out there. I was glad to see Juan Sith finally getting on board making smooth swing fonts, and you know, some of the old school guys coming on board and making them. But you know, in my book, the few guys that were really early on, Smooth Swing and Profi, are tops. Which that's going to be K-Sith, Chirophonic, and Fonts by Force, and Proplicator, and there's a few others that were kind of like the OG on Smooth Swings, and you know, I typically try and buy my fonts from them uh, for personal reasons. But yeah, Lord Blako is awesome too. Lord Blako's Rogue One Vader was pretty much my favorite font when I was installing NEC stuff. That thing was awesome. So Lord Blako definitely makes some good fonts. There's a lot of great font makers out there. Now, I'm loyal to a scant few for reasons that are in my YouTube channel on other videos. But at any rate, I need to get off this stream because we've been going for 44 minutes. I know normally I go for an hour, but I need to get back to Gen and give them their house back to normalcy. But everybody check out the new Profi OS 4.5, which dropped yesterday. And everybody make sure you thank Fernando. Day 74 of this quarantine, North Jersey. Ooh, yeah, Jersey's had big problems. I've got a lot of friends up in Jersey. And thank you, Fernando, for stopping in, and thanks for all your work on OS 4.5. Sorry I wasn't beta testing more. Yep. Yeah, I know. Hearing all the other news about COVID is really depressing, and it's kind of fun to come in here and talk about something else. You too, Truth 1777. I hope everyone has a great week. And thank you, everybody, for stopping in. And I'll see you guys next week. Oh, got one more question 1,000 times. But which soldering iron solder? Heiko irons. Make sure you get a temperature adjustable, ESP safe. Heiko irons are awesome. Mine's not Heiko, but I need to probably do a video on my workstation. But make sure you get a temperature adjustable soldering iron. The Heikos are probably the most affordable, and they're ESD safe. But thanks everybody for all your work on 4.5 and hashtag nerd up. Thank you, Cole. I'm hoping it's going to be a great week. Still waiting on something from Jeff, and then we'll know if it's going to be a great week or not. But I'm hoping it's going to be a good week coming up. We need some, because my last week was not fun. Oh my goodness, it was really bad. But thank y'all for watching. If you like my videos, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And we'll be back next Monday for Megtooth Live, and hopefully, I'm thinking 7:30 next Monday. I know we get more viewers later, but we'll try 7:30 next Monday, because if I do them late, then I'm up all night long trying to fight YouTube censoring my videos. But thank you, everybody. May the force be with you, or the dark side, as it were.